Hello and welcome back to the Pocket Network Podcast, a podcast for real estate professionals like you to innovate your world. I'm your host, Margarita Petrosian, and each week I'll be sitting down with industry professionals to discuss industry hot topics, common challenges, and so much more. This week I have Harut Arzumanyan with me from Arzuman Brothers. How are you, Harut?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you. Welcome to the podcast. We're so excited. So let's jump right in. First, talk about you before we get into the company. So what's your background?
I've been somewhat related to the industry at one capacity or another for quite some time. I kind of started on the construction side. I got my general contractor license back in about 11 years ago now, actually. And as I worked in the industry, I started transitioning to the education side, where I ran a state school for helping people obtain their contractor's license.
Oh, okay.
And this is kind of where I got introduced to the people that I'm with now, and eventually kind of grew and evolved into the company that we are now. So I myself graduated CSUN with a business management degree and a minor in marketing, and currently working on my master's degree at Woodbury University. So excited about that.
That's really exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you
always
so
hard
much.
to further your education once you're already working.
That's 100% right. It's very hard. It's time consuming. It's difficult, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of advantages to be gained having something to apply all of your studies to, having an idea or something that you can actually do a project that's going to, maybe even amount to something in your business. And I think that's really big advantage we get as professionals kind of furthering our education. And and then I also got my real estate license along the way, considering getting my broker license sometime in the near future. But I'm excited to kind of continue in this industry because I absolutely love every part of it.
Yeah, and it's really exciting because just hearing more about your company, it's literally what a one-stop shop is. So a lot of people say we do it all, but they don't truly cover from the beginning until the end of the home buying process, designing, and it seems like you're picking that up from your company as well with all of the education and the licenses that you're getting on the way.
Yes. That's a great point. That's one of the things I think that does set us apart is we do everything in-house, and we really mean that everything in-house. Like you said, we have a broker's license, we have our general contractor's license, and furthermore, we do all of our direct marketing ourselves. We, of course, on the construction side, we have our in-house designer, we have our in-house design team, we have our own in-house architectural team. So we handle everything literally from the planning phase, and that could even go even before to help you acquire a property, to the planning, design, and then construction all the way till you turn the key and walk into your new home.
That's really impressive. I think that definitely, like you said, is something that differentiates you from all of the other competition, because if clients can see that they can do everything with you and stay with you the entire journey, that's so much easier than the fear of the unknown, working with different people for every aspect of the journey and putting off things that you would really like to do in your home.
That's absolutely right. Like, for example, to be able to do everything that we provide for our clients, you're looking to hire at least, I want to say, 4 or 5 maybe different companies or agents or whatnot to help you with that entire process. So we take a lot of pride in offering that, and the clientele that we work with, they want they're very busy people, they need their time, so they don't want to be dragged on in these long meetings, have to make a bunch of decisions. So we kind of hold their hand along the whole way, and I think that's why a lot of them gravitate towards us and want to end up working with us. So that's 100% right.
Yeah, just thinking of if you want to do something new on your home, whether it's build something or just fix, let's say, something simple, the tiling. Typically, what we've seen in the past is the homeowner has to find someone, contact them, tell them exactly what they want, negotiate their own deal. But I'm imagining if you had a professional with you that was able to tell you, sure, that's beautiful, but based on everything we've seen, that won't last as long as you'd like it to. So maybe let's push your budget a little bit and have something that lasts longer. And once I know exactly what the image is for you, I will be your representative, and I will protect your interests when I'm hiring the right people to come in and get the work done ASAP.
You hit it right on the head, and that's a lot of what we offer as well. It's a very fine line when you're working with a client to make sure that they're getting what they want, But at the same time, like you just mentioned, they're hiring you as the professional. So you're expected to understand and advise in certain scenarios. So there's a lot of instances where our design team will be working with clients, and the clients want to push a certain idea forward, and we respect that completely. But at the same time, as a professional, you understand that maybe, like you just said, that maybe that's not the best decision. And so, you kind of steer them in the right direction, and we take pride in that, because that's exactly why they come over to us and get help from us in the first place.
Yeah, I'm sure. And with just like how quickly word of mouth spreads, just walking into your sister's house, you see something, you like how it's done. If she's complaining to you about dealing with all these contractors, you're most likely not going to want to do it. But if she has a positive experience and a beautiful look, then I'm assuming you guys have had a lot of referrals just through direct clients.
That's absolutely right. Actually, interestingly enough, right now our we've really been focused on development side of things at AB, and by that I mean we've been purchasing our own properties and demolishing and building ground up, of course, brand new luxury homes in some of the more affluent neighborhoods across Los Angeles County. And with that being said, we're really trying hard to expand on the client side. And along the way, you said word of mouth. That's really the only means of marketing we've really had this up until now in terms of the client side. So I'm very excited about a couple projects we have at AB, where we are working on a brand new website that's really going to speak to homeowners and people that are looking to purchase a home or even build on their own land. And we're going to really offer a very unique approach to that entire process. And, even working with local realtors to help their clients, get what they've always dreamt of, essentially, which is, of course, their dream home. So there's a lot of fun stuff coming up.
Yeah, just over the past week, when I just started doing the research on just for the podcast, I noticed that your website has changed a lot. And just that's over, what was it, less than 7 days, where it's the home listings that you guys had, there's much more than I saw a week ago. So I'm really excited to see what you guys do with that as well, because just overall, it's very user-friendly and just very pleasant to look at already.
I appreciate that. And with that being said, we also, I think there's a lot, from my standpoint, that there's a lot lacking at the same time too, where right now our website works as a really nice, beautiful portfolio, but we want it to be a lot more inclusive and include an amount of content where someone is looking for something in this industry or along the lines of buying or building their home. They're going to be able to go there and get the information they really need and kind of walk away with an understanding, at least at a broad level, of that entire process and what it's going to entail and what steps we're going to walk them through. So I appreciate it. The website is very nice now, but I think what we hope to launch, I should say, in March is going to be a brand new revamp website. And I look forward to you guys seeing it as well, because you're going to be noticing the difference right away, and I'm very, very excited about that process.
And I think just what you just said, it really shows where your company is in its own journey, because you guys are doing really well without the website. You're doing really well as all the individuals that make up your departments. But the fact that you're saying there's so much more that we need to do, it's because the company may have started off doing one thing, but your image, your vision for the company is so much more, and you're actively working towards that advancement. It's not just set on the back burner, like this is a goal, a dream for the future, but you guys are really changing up what you're doing, the way you're doing it, the way you're marketing yourself.
That's exactly right. We've actually have been very fortunate. Recently, as of last August, actually, we moved out of our first office and moved into a brand new, beautiful two-story office on a beautiful Honolulu Avenue in Montrose. A lot of us are familiar with that street, and you can find us there. And on the first floor, we're actually building a design studio to, of course, accommodate the website, and one is going to support the other. And we want our clients to come into that studio, and really you're going to get a very similar feel to what you would if you build a house with us or you purchase a house with us. And it's going to be, high-end appliances, cabinetry, bathroom finishes. You're going to be able to come in and actually touch, feel, and experience what it'll be like purchasing or building an AB home. So we're very excited to have the design studio hopefully finished, I want to say, within the next 6 to 8 weeks. Of course, because of COVID, there's a lot of overseas products that we're still kind of in transit, we're waiting on. Yeah, so that's been an interesting process amongst all this as well, is dealing with COVID through all of this.
Yeah, and I think the clients would definitely appreciate, like you said, being able to feel it
Oh, yeah.
themselves because of COVID, a lot of companies have been able to use that as an excuse as to why they're not doing the difficult things. So the fact that you're able to bring it in front of the client so they can visualize it and see it in their own home, not everyone is going to be a professional. They're not going to be able to see what that tile is going to look like in their entire house. You're there for that reason. So to be able to put that in front of them so that you put that image in their head, you tell their story of this is what you were thinking of, these tiles will do the job. Which one do you think is nicer? So I'm really excited to also see that myself, what that process looks like when people come in, how that's different than just sitting at a computer and looking at a screen. Because technically, we can all do that at home. I can open up my laptop and just Google different tiles, send you a few that I like. But to be able to come in and you bring them what they're imagining, I think that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because a lot of local builders, tend to do what you just mentioned. They send you off, you go gather and maybe even purchase a lot of your products, and they help you on the construction side. But again, we're a kind of, like you said earlier, a one-stop shop where you're going to be able to come in and we kind of hold your hands through the entire process. And we also take a lot of pride in doing everything and planning. Essentially, planning is one of the most integral parts of this entire process. We want to make sure before we even break ground, before we even demolish your old house, we have almost the entire design already laid out in front of you. You will receive a design book, in addition, of course, to renderings and your plans that kind of outline everything that you're going to be getting throughout that entire process. So by the time we demolish your house, you have, I don't say 100%, but a close to 90% idea of exactly every finish you're going to get and exactly what steps we're going to take throughout the construction too. So in our studio approach too, when you look at a lot of local builders, you don't have too many where they offer you that place to come in and touch and feel and speak about that. So we're very excited that that's going to offer us a very distinct competitive advantage and really set us apart and put us on the upper echelon of the companies that we're trying to target, and of course join them at that next level.
Yeah, and the fact that you guys are able to give the client a book of the entire plan almost, that in itself is very impressive. Just like you said, because of COVID, a lot of things, whether you're not able to get that delivery on time or whether they're not in stock, whatever the reason is, there are so many unknown variables in the building industry right now, not just in the building, obviously, but if you're able to give the client the layout and order all of these things ahead of time when the client makes the decision, then there might be some snags on the way, but it's probably much less likely, and not to mention just the client feeling comfortable and knowing what's going on in the process.
That's absolutely right, and that's fun you say that. As you say that, I'm thinking of a number of instances that we've gone through in the last few months that have actually specifically taken those unfortunate steps of having delays and having things happen. So, we've met with our design and procurement teams recently and even pushed up the ordering dates even further now because of those delays that we've been having. So, with that being said, we're still just like everybody, and this is a very unique situation where it's not us, it's not Los Angeles, it's not one place or another, but everybody's dealing with this. And, it's been challenging yet somewhat rewarding and fun to be able to go through this and still kind of come out growing and expanding. And COVID has absolutely had a negative effect on us overall, especially 2020. But in the big picture, we're very fortunate and grateful to be where we are, and again on a very nice path moving forward.
Yeah, and the most important thing is that you guys are continuing to innovate. So you didn't just stay stuck, but you're trying to see what you could do differently. And hopefully by the end of this year, you guys will see the fruit of that.
I'm glad you said that word innovate, because we're very, we're taking a very institutional approach to the development and building side of things. And in doing so, technology becomes very, very important, and we at AB are using over, I want to say, 12 to 14 different software and/or applications to help us and assist us tools to help not only us, but our clients understand what we're doing, how we're doing it. It creates a level of confidence, transparency that clients enjoy and investors enjoy as well. And, we're very excited to continue to grow on that front, because in this day and age, if you're not doing something that's using or having technology assist you in, it seems like you're kind of behind the eight ball in that case.
Oh, yeah,
And
for sure.
You're going to struggle, of course, keeping up with the competition.
Yeah, because technology not only makes the process much easier in a lot of senses, but also it's much faster. So in an industry where you can't build a house overnight, any sort of time you can save with the technology aspect would probably greatly benefit your business, not just the client.
Absolutely right. And one of the major things that I did when I joined the team at AB was implement and adopt these different technologies and softwares, and it's been very, very rewarding to on a daily basis see. And we've gotten to the point where I can't even imagine, none of us can really, of how we would even, do our day-to-day business without that stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's definitely, it becomes more and more apparent that you need to continue to grow in that. And we've just, we've probably tapped into about 40-50% of it. So we have a lot of room to grow. And technology has been one of the biggest things we've invested in recently, aside from, of course, our properties, in the last 2-3 years now, quite a bit, and we want to continue to do so, because that's the name of the game, of course, moving forward.
Yeah, and technology is ever changing as well. So there's newer things that are being created, there's newer processors, whatever. Everything is going to change. So you might be great where you're at now, but in a couple of years when technology changes, you kind of have to play catch up with that as well. So it'll always be, it's the gift that keeps on giving with technology.
Yeah, well said. And technology, like you said, it's going to grow, and it's going to continue exponentially grow. As it gets better, the advancements gets faster and better, right? So it's something that you do have to keep your finger on the pulse and really constantly look at ways that you can improve and utilize that, because really it's interesting, and you guys are doing a very commendable effort in creating this platform, and it just goes to show you that the real estate market as we know it, it's changing with technology, and you see what Redfin and Zillow and these larger firms are doing and where they're investing, and a lot of that is in artificial intelligence, and technology, and advancing in that route, where the traditional real estate approach is going to be, I think, less and less popular moving forward, and it's going to be based on, of course, having the help of technology to assist you in that entire process.
Yeah, excuse me, I agree. So if you look at the way the real estate industry was in the past, they were definitely, it was a social career, basically. So if you are not great at socializing, you probably won't attract as many clients. It might be just word by mouth, referral. It might be just family members. But if you're not the person that puts yourself out there, that approaches the client yourself and is able to hold the conversation, to put the imagery in their mind of you living in this home, what it's going to look like, you probably wouldn't be successful. But now with technology, there's people who might not excel in that area. They might just have a love for their job, the industry. They might have a love for the numbers, whatever it is. With technology, it becomes easier for those people to be successful.
Yeah, that's 100% right. And technology, no matter what, I think more than anything, people are sometimes afraid to approach new methods and new technology, because, of course, there's a learning curve behind that always. But at the same time, once you do and you master it, it's a tool that helps you. And I think, like you just said, a lot of people are taking advantage of that and should continue to take advantage of that as we move forward.
Yeah, and when we are hit with a reality check, like COVID, for example, it was a global crisis, then you realize how technology is not just an advancement, it's more preventative. So if you already had all the technology measures implemented and everyone was trained, COVID would not have hit you as hard. So like you said, when you joined Arzuman Brothers, you pushed for technology changes and implementation. You leveraged all of that when the industry was going through a crisis, when you couldn't go door to door, when you couldn't go to open houses and meet people in person. So it probably was much easier for you than people who were fighting the new changes.
I agree with that, and even on the operational side as well. Obviously, going through that, of course, it forced you to kind of take a look again at numbers, unfortunately, and make certain decisions in areas that are difficult and you don't want to make, but of course external factors sometimes do that. And with that being said, because we were well prepared, being able to do as much or even more with less is very important when you're dealing with times like this, and you need to continually adapt and evolve as you move through this uncertain times.
Yeah, for sure. So with that, did you personally notice during COVID, was there an increase in clients looking to build new construction homes, or just any other aspect of your business?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, that's a multi-layered question,
Yeah.
because the COVID has had such an adverse effect on not just the construction, and when I say construction, I'm talking about labor costs. We're talking about material costs, timing delays, but also on the real estate side, where you're seeing a huge push. And obviously, at the beginning of this, there was a lot of uncertainty, so people were a little panicked because they didn't know what was going to happen to the market. But then, once all the dust settled, it seemed like this enormous seller's market came about. And right now, we continue to have, at least from my experience, all-time low inventory numbers when it comes to houses available. So, from that standpoint, yes, it does tend to have people maybe look towards building on their own property versus going out and looking for something, because you could see a house listed and then put in your offer, let's say even over asking price, only to come and find out that you had 75 offers on that house.
Much higher than asking.
Of course, and much higher than asking. So it has really created this very interesting and unique market, and prices obviously have gone up. It seems like they're going to continue to go up, at least specifically in our areas. But with that being said, we have some distinct methods, marketing advantages that we're able to kind of target clients directly and not wait to purchase things off market. On the market. We get them off market, which is a huge advantage for us. And then yes, to answer your question more directly, it absolutely has made a little bit more of an increase in people wanting to build a home, because they're realizing that to go out and purchase a home has become a very daunting task, because you're going to be running around and literally fighting for offers. So coming to a company like us, where we can help them, from the acquisition side, literally help them get a home down to build and, of course, move into the home eventually is I think, very advantageous for us.
That makes sense. I didn't think of that. When I was writing this question down, I was more thinking of, people like shiny new things. So it would just make sense, if you have the money, buy the property or buy a lot and create your own home. It's brand new, it's shiny. You can customize it however you want. But at the same time, now that I think about it, you're right. If I'm putting in 10 offers a week and getting shut down by each offer within 3 days, and the house is barely listed on the market, then it would be much more attractive to think of just build my own home. No one's putting an offer, it's mine, and no one's going to, steal that from me by bidding 150 over asking price, because that's crazy.
Exactly. That's exactly the effect you're getting more and more of, and the market has slowly transitioned into that, especially if you have a house in a area that you like. You don't want to move your kids out of the school. You don't want to get up and have to kind of reset your life. So for people in that position, it definitely helps to have a company like this, like us, by their side.
Yeah, it makes sense. And a lot of areas, specifically in Southern California, you'll see people who have new construction homes, and their neighbor, their home, unfortunately, it's so shattered, the roof is caving in, they have to live in their RV, in the yard, or whatever it is. So these people, just the city gets so expensive, they're not even able to fix their own homes. Yeah. So if they sell, the person coming in, it just makes more sense to have new construction in that area. So there's also that, with all of these new people coming in and building multi-million-dollar homes in a city that used to be like $300K for an average family home, I see new construction for that reason too. Yeah,
you're right. And it's interesting you say that, because there's a lot of things that go with that. So, for example, the city, Los Angeles, and most cities, obviously, not only just in California, but across the nation, why we've kind of focused our attention on, becoming and continuing as a scattered lot luxury developer is because of a lot of the things you just mentioned. Because you are dealing with a lot of homes that were built in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and these are wood homes, I should say, these are homes built with wood and organic materials that are bound to deteriorate over time. And as this is happening, not only just Los Angeles, but there's a lot of areas around California and other states that are primed to be redeveloped. And, we take a lot of pride in not just having profits on building these new homes, but also having something to do with what you just said, kind of helping the neighborhoods kind of get renovated and having them kind of renewed. So that I think that there's a lot of happiness that we get from that whole process as well, is to see that transition happen in neighborhoods.
Yeah, and a lot of the work you guys do, I don't think people realize how if you have good quality materials, if you have the right people building, it's not going to cost you a couple $1,000,000 to renovate your home to look like that's how much it costs you. So if you have the right people designing, if they're putting in the right elements, it's not going to cost you a price of another home. Just go with the right developer, go with the right people planning it, and tell them what your vision is, and they'll be able to fit your monetary boundaries.
Very good. And that's interesting you say that because, we focus primarily on new construction, right? And there's a couple reasons. Remodeling is something we've done. We have a very, large portfolio of remodeling in the past, but remodeling tends to be a very complicated process in and of itself because you're dealing with new and old, and there's that whole mix-up of upgrading things that sometimes are maybe better being replaced.
Yeah.
So I think we definitely think there's more value to be gained from having a new home, the warranty that comes with it, having these energy efficient appliances and many other things around your home, having a smart home features to be able to kind of make your life a little bit more comfortable and bring it into this century a little bit is definitely advantageous. And also we've had a lot of clients that actually, interestingly enough, planning, you mentioned that word again, planning, and when you're dealing with the new construction process specifically, it could be very daunting, as I said before, to deal with all the little things. For example, we've been able to break down that entire process, and we could say that there's about 18 to 20,000 different steps to building a new house.
Wow.
Whether that's paperwork oriented or actual building or city paper, whatever it may be, there's that many steps. So having someone that's not experienced in that process attempt to do it on their own is rather difficult.
Considering everything else in life they're dealing with, their jobs,
on
their
top
family.
of everything, yes.
Yeah.
It's not their
Seems
full-time
impossible.
job. You're right, and we've had actually a number of clients, unfortunately, come to us after they realized that, they kind of set on that path thinking, oh, I'll save money because I'll call the framer, I'll call the electrician, I'll do this, and the architect, and meet with them. But very early on in that process, they come to realize that, this is
It's not that
completely
simple.
over my head. Yes.
If it was that simple, your business would not be this successful.
Yeah,
We would all just be
appreciate
planning
that.
our own work.
No, it really does. And really at the end of that process, when you go through that, we've spoken to a lot of people where it takes them almost something that would take us, let's say, 18 months to 20 months to fully from, design, even acquisition, design to construction finish, they're building for sometimes 3-4 years in excess.
Wow.
And that's
That's
a very
a lot of
significant
time and stress.
Yeah, exactly. And stress.
Yeah.
I think that's a very key word to think about there.
Yeah. We had a simple, some simple work to do in my house. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I swear, if someone just put the right materials in front of me, I, with my inexperienced hand, could have probably managed, it wouldn't be nice, but I would have managed to finish it in less than a week. It took months because they were saying they couldn't get the materials. The guy was saying he's not able to come and just rescheduling. And it was so stressful. And it was just like some paint and fixing the ceilings up.
Yeah.
Like it was not rocket science. So I would never, ever in my life try to plan anything larger than that. Yeah. No, thank you.
I don't blame you. I mean, even being in this industry and understanding it at the level I do, I still wouldn't want to do that on my own. If I was doing it on my own, I really mean that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So other than that, is there any other advantages you can think of new construction versus just remodeling?
Oh yeah, it's interesting. I think for new construction, the bulk of your cost differences are going to be, of course, with the development fees. The city's fees tend to be
Yeah.
much higher when you're building brand new. But then there's a lot to gain from that as well. If we're looking at it just as an asset, for example, having your asset be labeled as, oh, built in 2022, 2023, whatever it may
Yeah,
be.
the resale value.
Absolutely. Your asset now, of course, skyrockets in value. Yeah, the remodeling would do that to a certain extent, but not the same way
Yeah.
as a brand new built would, of course. And then having that peace of mind and that ease, we offer a limited warranty with all of our buildings, and with that comes peace of mind. With that comes an idea that if something is to go wrong, we're going to help you and be there for that process to make sure you understand what went wrong, why it went wrong, and then fix the issue, whatever
Yeah.
it may be. And there's a lot, anybody that owns a home, you just brought up a great point as well. Homes need maintenance. That's just a fact. Even a brand new home is going to need maintenance, of course. And of course, having an older home is going to have a lot more maintenance items and a lot more serious maintenance items. And that's just on that side. And then, of course, you think about all the things that you want to do with these new, better insulating properties of different materials, the glass that we use, so many different things, the smart home features that we offer in our homes. Having all those things brought up to date is very, very important as well. And
Yeah.
I think that there's many advantages to buying new versus having it pre-owned, and those are just some of the ones
Yeah,
that
and
kind of off
just
the top of my head.
thinking of construction practices, there's so many outdated things that they used to do.
That's another great
So, for
point,
example,
yes.
popcorn ceilings, they no longer do that.
Yes.
So if you were to
Thank God for that, right?
Yeah, so if you move into a new home, you're probably spending a pretty good amount of money purchasing a home, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go in and the person selling it didn't think to change the ceilings because it's just an extra cost and headache for them, but now you have to do that. So now that you've done that, is that affecting anything else? Is there, look underneath, the lighting? So just new things just keep popping up, and whenever you're buying the home, some people don't think to look at everything underneath. Look at the pipes, look at the lighting,
Yes.
everything, the insulation. There's so much that you could be changing, and if you don't look at it from the beginning, one of the things at the Pocket Network we had in the beginning of the year, we had posts on our social media, Tuesday tips for people that are selling their homes that are going through cold weather. So
Okay.
insulation is a big one because
Yes.
your heater might work fine, but if your house is
not keeping that
just
heat in,
releasing
yes,
that,
exactly.
yeah, we're not just trying to melt the snow around us. We're trying to keep the family warm and save on that
Absolutely.
energy bill.
Yes.
So if I know exactly how my house has been built, and I know that all of these things are checked off a list, then I don't have to keep going through the stress of, okay, now why is my energy bill double what my neighbors are? Let's see, what can I fix? How huge of a project is that? Can I afford that? I just bought this home.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. That aspect of getting a remodeling and you don't know what's behind the drywall.
Yeah.
All those mechanical, equipments and properties that your house has, whether it's plumbing, piping, electrical wiring, HVAC equipment, and ducting. Obviously having all of that brand new comes again with a backup of having assurance that those are going to work at the highest grade for at least the next 10, 15 years
Yeah.
usually, right? And then with that being said, our homes, for example, you mentioned energy and energy bills. We for example, provide and pre-wire every garage with an outlet to have their electrical cars be able to charge, right? We install solar panels on all new homes. So
Which just the solar panels, I imagine, saves a ton when you
oh,
own your home.
absolutely, absolutely,
And
then
might
not just
be even
upfront
benefiting
costs.
your neighbors.
Oh, yeah, it benefits the neighbors, it benefits the environment, it
Yeah.
benefits a lot of things on a lot of levels. So those are, again, some factors, and we could go on and have a
Yeah.
whole nother conversation about all the little things that a new home offers you versus obviously getting a pre-owned one.
Yeah, because if you count it all up, if you're actually taking care of your home the way you're supposed to, if money is no issue, if you count it all up, you're probably just better off not going through the stress. You're going to probably spend about the same amount of money, if not more, as if you were to build a completely new home.
And you mentioned a key word before as stress, right?
Yeah.
The stress to go through that process is very, very heavy as well. And we've unfortunately had a lot of clients, like I said, come to us after they felt that on their skin, and,
Yeah.
and it's definitely not an enviable position, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, life is stressful enough on its own.
Yes,
We
agreed.
don't need these extra things that we're not qualified to deal with.
Definitely not.
Yeah, just think about traffic. Even if you love your job and you don't get stressed at all ever, just driving in areas that are super populated, like in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
if you're driving 2 hours and it's only like 25 miles, 30 miles, and that takes you 2 hours going and coming back, that probably already takes all your energy and all the stress of the day. And then to come home and get some bad news from your builders, I think it's better to pay for that. And then later, you're not going to be paying for your health.
Yep, well said. There's definitely no denying that unfortunately that stress does not have good effect on anything in your life.
Yeah. Projects are being extended by months, the time frame that was set in the beginning, and there's really nothing the builders can do about it, whether it's the delivery shortages or whatever the issue
Labor
is.
shortages, yeah.
So with that, have you noticed the difference? So with new construction homes or any project, honestly, in your business, what's the typical time frame?
That's a great question. If we don't account for the amount of time, let's say if we're trying to help a client acquire a property,
Yeah.
and they're coming to get a brand new project with us or building on their own lot, I'm going to start here because you brought up a great point, the delays, right, out of our hands. The biggest area where I can kind of, outside of even materials and labor, it's the cities, it's the municipalities that we've been dealing with. Having them work from home has really thrown a different kind of obstacle at us, because having someone respond to an email sometimes, do something as simple as processing an application, went from taking us 2 to 4 days to 2 to 4 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
a big change.
It's massive, and that's been one of the most frustrating things amongst this whole COVID situation, is dealing with the municipalities and the delays that they're having. And some of it's understandable, of course, but at the same time, it still pains you to go through all of those, and having to deal with these cities and your permitting, which usually, if we expedited in the past, would have taken us 3 months, has now taken us upwards of 6 to 8 months, and it's literally completely out of our hands. So
Yeah.
that's been, I think, the most frustrating part of it. But once permitting is out of the way, we pride ourselves in, again, like I told you, having all decisions made prior to planning, prior to breaking ground.
Yeah.
So our planning is very, very extensive, and as a result, we save time in construction, because we're not thinking about, on our developments, we're not thinking about, what we're doing here, what we're gonna buy over there. We already have those decisions made, and most of the times we have that material in transit well before we start that process. Same thing goes for our client homes. Because we plan so well, it helps us save time in construction. And construction for us, looking at our average, let's say 4,000 to 5,000 square foot homes, probably takes us anywhere between 8 to 9 months, which
Wow,
is definitely,
that's really good.
It's an excellent number, and we hope to even trim that down as we get better with more and more tools and processes.
Once you can kind of guess what the delivery of your supplies will be.
Yes, and those have offered, again, unique situations to deal with, but
Yeah.
on an average, I would say, I'm comfortably say about 8 to 9 months, we would definitely be able to finish all of our construction and get you in your house.
That's amazing. So another question that I had was, so what actions would you guys take? Would you take if there's a project falling behind schedule, or possibly that you're seeing might exceed the budget?
That's a great question. I think one of the things that we do at AB is take a very almost a software developer approach to things. And developers will tell you the first thing that they look at is, what's the problem, right? They want to know the problem so they can provide a solution. So anything and everything that we do at AB, we do with the idea that, of course, this is going to be repetitive. We're going to do this again 50,000 more times, God willing, right? And as a result, we approach it with the idea to solve that problem at that point, so the next time we don't have to deal with it. So that's how we approach any and all problems or issues that might arise, whether it be budget oriented or schedule. If we're talking about a specific property or a specific project, one thing we're going to do is of course meet with our construction team and our planning team and try to figure out alternatives, right? Every problem has a solution, and there's alternatives to every situation that arises. And even though at that point in time you would think like, oh no, what are we going to do? But that's why we, of course, have a committee that sits down. We bring it up to that committee. We bring up on a weekly basis. We go over issues at our business, and we address them as necessary. And we want to make sure we provide solutions for these problems. So really, it's about just taking each case by case situation, finding a solution for that, making sure that situation is okay, and then at the same time making sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And we're very, very conscious about that.
Yeah, and I love your answer, and I want you to repeat that part one more time, that you not only solve the problem, but you basically now have the playbook for how to not only prevent that in the future, but if it does happen, how to solve that one more time.
Yes, exactly. So again, we take that approach of, if we had this issue come up once, and remember, this is what we do on a daily basis, right? We're going to do this 50,000 more times. And as a result, you don't want to repeat that same issue each and every time. So we figure out the source of that problem. What is it? Was it a term that we missed on our contract? Was it a measurement that we missed in our architectural details? Was it a negotiating tactic we should have switched? We take that, we fix that, we address it with the people that it applies to, and then the next time, and the next time, and the next time, it's going to get better and better. And by doing this constantly, we're constantly filtering out and improving the business and the processes that we work with as well. So
yeah,
it's an exciting thing, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm noticing right now, the reason I had you repeat that was because I feel like we need to point out in successful businesses and with successful professionals, for very different scenarios, I've heard the same answer over and over again. So whether it's about, whether it's customer service, being transparent, being very honest, and really getting to the root of the problem and laying it all out for the client, or like what you just said. I was speaking to Jackie Valenzuela. She's a mentor for real estate agents. And one thing she said was, for real estate agents, she tells them, you need to have your playbook, basically.
Yes.
So what are you going to tell the client? What are the next steps in the process? So that's not only to be fair with the client, to provide them with the same amazing experience you did with the first few clients that you gave your all, but also that way so you don't miss a step, so that you make sure you keep repeating perfection, basically.
Yes.
And that's the same thing that you just said. So you record that for the future, not only to know how you fixed it in the past, but now that you have that in print and that you're aware of that, you avoid the same issues, and the process just gets easier every time.
You're very well said, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, because in our company I laugh about this because we're very much about, and it sounds so simple really, checklists.
Yeah.
There's some really great informative videos available on YouTube that tell you really the value of a simple, like you just said, very simple checklist, you know, that the real estate agent that provides that experience each time, you know, you have that laid out in front of you, and you want to make sure you do go down that checklist, and did you provide all these things to your client? And that's a very similar way that we approach everything that we do, is making sure that you have a checklist, or at least a form of it. And of course, software has made those checklists, you know, much more, absolutely, much easier and much more, you know, adaptive and almost, they have their own lives, the checklists, right? And, you know, these workflows that you create based on those checklists, it ensures that each time you go through every single process the right way, and each time the same way, so that each person is left with the same experience, and you can be assured that you've done all your part necessary to do the best job you can.
Yeah, and that goes back to when we've heard a lot of people tell us it's better to prevent than just react with your head off your shoulders in the situation when it's so stressful and you feel like you're going to miss all the deadlines, the client's not happy with you. So if you have this checklist, you're able to prevent any sort of issue from arising instead of reacting to it in front of your client and then looking like you don't have a grasp of the situation, and then they're uncomfortable and they don't believe that it's going to get done. They don't feel as comfortable with your company.
Of course.
It's just a reflection of the entire business. So just preventative measures for everything.
Yes, prevention, exactly. A lot of what we do and everything I just talked about is specifically for that, to prevent things from happening before they happen.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm assuming because of that, you guys definitely have a list of steps in every planning project.
List is an understatement. Yeah, we have, and I'm not, I don't want to exaggerate, but we have mountains of documents that we've now transitioned and transformed. We've transitioned and transformed those documents and writings into now workflows and conditional steps and processes. And that this is a very exciting thing. And when we started, it was, everything was done on Excel. We had these lists compiled in
Excel's
Excel.
amazing.
Oh, I love Excel. Absolutely right. But it's very, as great as it is, it also has its limitations.
Of course.
And with that, we saw the potential, though, by creating these documents and these checklists and these verification tools. I mean, we literally, again, I don't want to exaggerate, but when it comes to, let's say, the framing of your house, there's going to be close to 200 little things that one needs to, and this is aside from your plans, the structural plans that you have to look at to guide you through building, right? In addition to that, there's an additional 200 steps of little things that we've learned through the years that come up through that process. And like you said, each time you input that and you make sure you have that cleaned up and then perfected, and then the next time it's better, and the next time, and so on and so forth. So
yeah, and just like with COVID right now, who would have imagined anything like this would happen? Who would have imagined the effect that it would have on just shipments and products and labor? Now that, in case you hadn't thought of that, now that's something to account for, something to let your clients know, hey, you lived through COVID too. If anything like that happens, don't be upset with us. We'll be upset with you.
Of course, yeah.
But this is what we will do to prevent any sort of stalling in your project, to make sure that we still have a decent deadline and the cost doesn't increase by too much. So whether it's a contract with your contractors, to once you place an order, to set that price, to make sure that they prioritize your delivery over someone else. So I think just also being, just talking with your clients about that and letting them know, that would also be a huge step in the business.
I think transparency is key, and we've unfortunately had to have these difficult conversations. I'm glad you brought that up, because we have had these very difficult conversations with clients where, where literally our subcontractors and the tradesmen, that the skilled labor that does this work has come to us and literally shown us their raw material prices. They've shown us their labor wages, and it's truly gone up. And us as a general contractor have to understand that. We can't be oblivious or blind to what's going on. So we, of course, have to account for that. And
I'm imagining how incredible this change has been, that the contractor is showing you, like, believe me.
It's happened on so many different occasions. I can't even tell you whether you're an electrician, you're a structural steel person, you're an ornamental metal person, you're a finished carpenter, a rough carpenter, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, these people were affected, and we were all affected by this. And we have to understand that. And, we had signed contract with these people, but it doesn't matter, if they're coming and you know that they're struggling, and you're working with these people on a daily, weekly basis where, we don't work with somebody and then that's it. No, we reuse and utilize these skilled tradesmen almost through every other project, So, with that being said, we had to understand their struggles and difficulties. And then the tough part was, of course, that fell on my plate, as well as some of our team members, was communicating that now to the client as well. On our developments, it was a little bit easier, I could say, because, we understood it's our home, right? So it's our development. But when you have a client in the mix, and then now you have to kind of,
You have to be the messenger.
You have to be the messenger, and unfortunately that cost gets applied now to them as well. You
Yeah.
can't lose that out of your pocket, or else you won't continue operating if
Yeah.
you continue to do that. So to have those conversations were difficult, but again, even clients, because we were transparent with them and we communicated with them like you just brought up, we were able to, have a very good understanding and still continue and have a great relationship moving forward.
And I think that says a lot about how your employees do business, because it's not always so easy to accept bad news, especially when you're going through the same thing as these people are, whether it's the construction people, whatever, it doesn't matter. Some people will have an outburst, and the fact that you guys have had such positive experiences shows that you've approached them the right way. You know how to speak to your clients, you know how to bring them the bad news. It's not just a call of, hey, due to COVID, you have to pay $3 million extra.
No. I'm a huge believer in what you just said, the message. And I apologize if I misquote this, but I love Winston Churchill's, a lot of his things that he said and done, and a lot of his quotes. And one of my favorite quotes of his was him saying, having tact is the ability to tell someone to go to hell and have them look forward to the trip. And that to me is really a microcosm of being able to communicate properly and present things in the right way, because you can say the two same things, but based on how you say it, it can be taken completely differently.
Yeah, and I think also just your clients, because they work with you so closely, they know who you are. They know that this isn't just another part of the business, another day, another phone call. They know that you're looking out for their best interest. And honestly, like from the real estate agents I speak to, people like yourself in the building industry, they take this really hard too. It's not just for the client. It's really difficult to accept this because you're working with this client, you know what's happening in their life, whether they just got married, they just had a child, whether they just went through a divorce. You want to be their champion. You want to make sure they get the best prices, and to be able to have to go and tell them that I know you are also going through this pandemic, and I know that life hasn't been great for you, or there's a huge change, but then there's also this that you have to deal with. They feel that even if you don't know how to say that, if you don't find the right words, they know how you feel. They've done work with you for so long, and I think that's probably why your clients are also so understanding.
Yeah, that's true, and it's interesting you bring that up, because it's been difficult to know. Myself, you, a lot of us out there, I'm sure had or have maybe ourselves, or young families, young couples, whatever it may be, hoping to expand and grow our lives, and like we said, because of the effect that all of this has had on the market, and these agents that you bring up, I feel for them as well. It's hard to tell somebody that just gave a offer that was already $100,000 over asking, that, oh, by the way, you were the 25th best offer on that listing. And I can imagine how hard that conversation has to be for all these agents. So it's definitely something that we feel at every level, in whether it's building, construction, real estate. I mean, it's been difficult, but it's also been something that's I also believe that every challenge creates a stronger, better result at the end of it, or a person, or whatever it may be. So I think we've all developed new things that we didn't ask for, but we're getting better at whether we like it or not, just by going through this all together.
Yeah, it depends what you did with it.
Of course.
So now that we're talking about what people say, whether it's quotes, I have no idea who said this. I read it probably on social media, but when they say that boiling water is very uncomfortable, it makes a potato soft, but it makes an egg harder.
Yeah,
So just thinking of that. So just think of how you're dealing with this boiling water, with this pressure, and adjust your ways, make some changes. There's a lot of people that thought that COVID wouldn't last that long.
I was going to say that when you brought this up earlier. I remember conversations of other people, other professionals, when this all happened, we were all talking to each other, all of us giving each opinions about, well, what do you think about this? What about these macroeconomic factors? How's that going to affect this, that, and in hindsight, we're still dealing with it till this very day.
Yeah, we definitely are. And with that, it's just for people who didn't get this reality check in the beginning, I hope by now they're trying to find ways to make their business more effective. And back to the word, my favorite word, innovation. How can you innovate not just yourself as a professional? So whether that means like yourself going to get further education, whether it's for your business, changing your business model, change is sometimes a really good thing. Sure, what you've been doing may have been working for a while, but sometimes there's something that nudges you and you really need to change your business model and to continue doing so well.
That's an excellent point. Change is not only a good thing, is I think it's an absolute must in the business world and in a lot of our personal lives as well. If so many of the best and biggest names of the past companies that are no longer here, where you can't even imagine how someone that big could have, just disappeared, right? And it happened a lot because of that apprehension to change and apprehensiveness to approach change and to understand change and innovation and technology. And I always bring this up as well. And Blockbuster is of course one of those prime examples where they're very famously left Netflix executives out of the board meeting because Netflix approached them early on and said, "Hey, listen, you guys are doing this very well. Here's what we're doing. These kind of pair together well. Let's kind of do this at your stores. Let's do a kiosk, some sort of idea that way." And again, they got laughed out of that meeting. And unfortunately, we all know what happened with Blockbuster, right?
Your company might not be ready for that change, but the industry is demanding it.
And you have to listen.
Yeah.
I think listening is very important, and understanding that a fresh perspective, offering even a criticism about something you're doing is very important, and you can't be combative about that. You have to listen to it and see how you can improve with that word or idea.
And yes, I want to go further into listening. So one of my producers, Gev, actually sent us this one video, and I'm horrible with names. I don't remember this guy's name, but he's a very successful businessman, and he was talking about how smaller businesses, one of the leverages that they have is that they can listen to their customers. They can listen and apply this feedback. And what does that result in? Sometimes change. That's what you need to do. And larger companies, even if they're ready to implement change, they might have the workforce, they might have the systems in place, but they can't be listening to every single customer. But we can do that, whether it's a business like yours, where it's not that it's small, but you guys have enough employees and you're local enough to listen to the people here. So, because you guys do hire local companies to work with each client, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that would make it much easier for the client to feel like they've been heard, and you might have had a different plan for them, but when the client changes what they're saying, you're able to also change what you're doing for them to fit their need, whether it depends on how their life is changing.
You're 100% right, and listening. I think I'm glad you brought this up again. Listening is very important, and that's a great video saying such a great thing, that if you don't listen and adapt and evolve, again, you're gonna become extinct in the business world, right? And I think both on the personal and business professional world, that's very, very important to be able to continually listen. And to me, the most dangerous person is the person that thinks they know it all.
Yes.
Because that person now is no longer willing to really listen. They're more willing to just always. Of course, there's a very big difference between listening and then just waiting to respond.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in that position who think they know everything, they're just waiting for you to stop talking because they want to respond, instead of actually listening and processing and understanding what you have to say. And smaller businesses do have that advantage of being a little bit more close with their clients and having that message reach the right people more directly, versus these bigger corporations have so many layers that even they create more layers to maybe not even hear as much clients, so they can just do what they do best and keep making money and profits.
Exactly. And one thing is, sure, what you're doing works. Sure, what, for example, Netflix did or Blockbuster did in the beginning worked. But if I was able to just do exactly what the biggest competitor is doing and succeed, then every single person would be doing that. We would all just be copying each other and we would
course.
all be at the top. But the reason why they're continuously successful is because, sure, it worked, but while that's working, they have people listening to what other people are doing in the market, listening to what the market is slowly demanding. If you listen to your audience, if you listen to other businesses, you kind of understand where it's going. And when you look at marketing, marketing is huge with the success of any business. One of the main things is what differentiates you from the competition. So you might not have a differentiation. So for example, the Pocket Network is kind of a new idea with the whole, not only real estate, but education, all the stuff that we have for the real estate industry, not just realtors. So once we get big, God willing, once we get big.
When
we get
yeah.
big, there might be a bunch of people that decide to copy the idea.
Of course.
And sure, they might have some success on the way, but what's going to differentiate us? We need to keep evolving with the industry. Before the real estate agent even tells us what they want, we need to be able to create that on our back end of our website and tell them, this is what's going to help you.
Correct.
To just go one step ahead, especially when you are claiming that you're an educator in any industry, you need to be able to teach them what they need before they ask you the question. You need to prepare that answer.
That's a great point. I actually, speaking of that, I also teach on the side as well, and I teach blueprint reading, construction math, as well as contractor state laws, and I take a lot of pride in having the answer for the students or the professionals in our classes, and you hit it right on the head. You almost want to always have the answer, but that's also impossible too, because you need to sometimes always brush up on your knowledge and skills. And one of the things I love most about teaching is the fact that I get to constantly brush up on information and know these different things, and sometimes be challenged where someone asks a question that you don't know the answer to, and that's perfectly fine as well. But telling them that I'm gonna get back to you on that, and researching that topic and providing an answer. And I think a lot of companies, you kind of hit it right on the head, where a lot of companies, their biggest investment tends to be the R&D, research and development. What can we do? Like you said, we do these things great, and this is what brought us here. But what's going to help us get over here is the next question, and constantly looking at innovative ways to get to that point is very, very important for any sized company.
Yeah, and their R&D departments are so big, not only because it makes them a lot of money in the future, but also because once that question is asked, it's totally fine if you don't have the answer, but it's your job to get that answer as soon as possible. So you immediately have your R&D team working on whatever it is, whether it's new technology, whether it's researching the market and just getting the stats to the right person to be able to speak on it, to be able to forecast what's happening in the future so the company moves in the right direction.
Definitely. It's about needs, right? It's about fulfilling needs. Whether it doesn't matter what approach you take, it doesn't matter what business you're in or industry. Almost anything and everything that we do is about fulfilling some sort of need, right? Whether it's a service, a product, a platform like your guys' wonderful platform, it doesn't matter. It serves as some sort of need for the market, the industry, the person, the company. It doesn't matter. So it's always important to be in touch with those needs and to have the answer, like you said, or seek the answer as soon as possible.
Yeah, I recently joined a bunch of Facebook groups within the real estate industry. So whether it's something specific like women in real estate, or something more general like off-market listings in, let's say, Southern California. So when I joined these groups, there's so many members. Like some of these groups have over 30,000 members, and they're asking questions, like really important questions. For example, I'm in California, have a client wanting to move to Florida. Clearly, I'm not licensed there. I need to refer someone. And if this is just on a Facebook post where some people may or may not check that group that they're in regularly, I don't have my real estate license yet, and I'm in like 10 of these groups just to educate myself to see what these professionals are looking for, asking for. But imagine if you have your real estate license, you have all your clients, you have all the contracts, everything you're thinking of, and then you are trying to also market yourself on social media. You don't have time to look through every single real estate post. You might miss that. Now, looking at that, I see that there is a need, for example, for pocket listings. listings or
Absolutely.
for agent referrals. And the Pocket Network definitely fills that. So whether it's saying in this geotag, I have a client, whatever it is, narrowing it down, not just to a post, but for people to be able to say, okay, this is the location that I'm in, this is where I'm licensed. So all of those posts will be coming to me. It won't be coming to an agent in, let's say,
Yes.
Oregon.
Yes.
So definitely with the Pocketless network, like you said, there's that need. And then hopefully with the way your business expands, because with all the changes you guys are implementing, I definitely see only one way up. And hopefully when
that.
you guys expand your business, you'll obviously need more professionals, whether it's agents,
Oh,
whether
yeah.
it's construction. And we have that aspect on the Pocket Network as well, where you can say that you need, let's say it's a construction or interior designer, architect in this area, and we would be able to recommend individuals and bring them directly, literally, to your pocket. And you can reach out to them and network with them directly.
I love it, and that's exactly what I kind of got when I looked into your guys' project and the platform, and I think it's wonderful, and it goes to show you again, first of all, that there is a lot of that need in this industry,
Yeah.
and real estate again it's evolving as we literally know it. It's evolving right now in front of our eyes, and something you guys want to do is I think is very commendable, and I appreciate it from our standpoint. I'm sure many others were too once they get a chance to actually utilize it. And you know, as soon as I started looking into you guys and starting it, I started thinking about how it, you know, I might align with what we're doing and how, you know, how we can kind of benefit from it. You know, I of course, like I mentioned a little earlier, didn't really get too in depth about, but one of the things we're doing again is focusing on dealing more and helping clients directly. And of course, realtors are the middle person essentially between ourselves or companies like us and the client, right? The realtors are the ones who, the agents, brokers, doesn't matter, right? They're the ones who have these clients and they know what these clients' needs are. And these clients now expect them or hope that they might push them in the right direction or at least help them get to that point, and whether it might be looking to build. So I know for a fact, for example, we're looking at and we're already in our new website, you'll see some more detail on this. We're going to have programs where realtors, of course, are going to make very real and beneficial commissions and bonuses if they refer someone to us that signs and wants to build with us. And we want that network to be strong. That's, I think,
Yeah.
a very important a cross-reference into each other's businesses, where, you know, it's going to help agents because not only monetarily, but they get to address their clients' needs and make sure that they're happy with
Yeah.
having a quality design build company that helps their client get what they dreamt of. And then it helps us because the agents are going to help us expand our nets to areas we usually wouldn't maybe reach those individuals. But because through the message and through the voice of the agents, they're going to be able to communicate who we are and what we do to their clients. And I can already see how having something as nice as your guys' platform, of course, is going to help that whole transition hopefully envelop.
Yeah, for sure. We love the networking aspect of it. What we say at the Pocket Network is, sure, in real estate, it's very competitive. We're not saying it's not, but also once you get past that, you have to look at when you partner up with these people, that when you don't look at them as competition. Sometimes you have to admit, like you said, you don't know everything. You're not able to meet a client's every need. So if the client is looking to build a home, instead of losing that client, what you could do is not only help someone else in the industry and build a really good relationship, for example, with our Zuman brothers, but also on top of it, like you said, you get the money on the side if that's what's important for you.
Absolutely.
So I think that's something very important to focus on with the networking aspect of it. It's not all competition. Don't look at everyone as competition. Look at what we can build together.
You're absolutely right that you can't look at it that way. Sometimes we have to be willing to pass things off. And we already work with a number of prominent agents in specific areas that of course do refer us. And like I said, we haven't really invested a ton of marketing in the client side as much because we've been focused on our own developments. But we still get those client builds because of that exact reason. And then these agents are very happy and because they get to make sure that their client was taken care of and was happy. And sometimes, like you said, maybe it's not you finding the home for them, but maybe helping them seek the right person and helping them out in that respect. And like you said, In between, of course, we want to benefit monetarily, which is going to be there
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, and the right kind of real estate agent isn't just there to make money off of you. They're
Yes,
looking out
yeah.
for your best interest. They know your story, and they want to make sure they add a really good chapter to it, not just the disappointment of the offers aren't going in. So even without the monetary aspect, most real estate agents, if they know about a business like yours, they will tell the client, I cannot help you right now. I apologize, but here's a solution. These people can help you. This is exactly what they do. And when you're thinking of buying a house, just people think traditional. What have their parents done? They reach out to a real estate agent.
Yeah.
They don't think to Google building a home or who can help me A to Z in the home buying, building, everything process. So with the real estate agent there as the middleman, and also someone you trust that's looking out for your interests and knows how others have had success, that's definitely important with the referrals.
That's huge. I think as an agent, trust you. That's a great word you use, because a lot of that it's about relationship building, obviously, and having that trust with these clients, and having our business referred through these trusted agents is going to offer a whole nother level versus going online and just Googling.
Yeah, because what would you go Google as a client if you don't know
Yeah.
this service is available?
And there's gonna be a bunch of things you're gonna find, and we all know we all do it. Anything
Yeah.
anything
Or
that
you'll
pops in our
get
head,
those
we Google.
huge real estate giants who have been
Oh,
here
yeah.
for 50 years and just want to take money, and they don't personalize it as much as you can.
Yes, you're 100% right.
Yeah. I'm really, really excited to see where this goes. I hope once you guys have implemented all the website changes and everything, I hope we can have you back on the show so
I'd
you can
love
tell
to.
us what's worked, what have you changed in marketing, and also, God willing, everything gets better with just the world with COVID, and we're able to see how all of the new business plans we implement into our businesses bear fruit, hopefully, and they're not just shut down by the government.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It was a
Appreciate
pleasure
you.
speaking to you today, Harut.
Likewise.
And everyone at home, you guys can follow Harut on social media. We'll link his information in the bio. We'll also link our Zuman Brothers information. You can reach out to them directly. You can reach out to our Harut directly. We'll have him make a profile on the Pocket Network. Reach out to him there. And then hopefully with your education background, we can also have you as an advisor soon on the Pocket Network. We would love that. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Again, as always, subscribe, save our videos, share our videos, tell us what you think, tell us what you want to hear the next time Harut is on the show. And as always, like we always say, change begins at home.